Hey guys, so we're here doing our first vlog for the newly formed Endpoint Academy. This is currently right now we're in December, and we're trying to show the whole process. You know, the planning to execution to the whole journey of the academy. So currently we're in the planning stage.
Wow, it's been a long time since I've been on camera in front of my PC, boys and girls. Basically just doing a video today just to explain my return and what's been going on. Now, about 3 months ago, back in, I think it was around just after August time, around then, I made a tweet saying that I was going to be quitting esports for the foreseeable future. It looked like it was going to be forever. Now, I had an offer with this team. I'm not going to mention their names, and it looked really promising. And obviously, it got to the point where we was like 2-3 days before signing with a really good deal, full-time esports again. It was promising for players that I was going to pick up. It was a project where I could build a team, and it fell through. Now I don't know what happened, but it was absolutely devastating. And that was my final call to, finally pull the plug on esports. And I made the tweet, and that was it. And it was so sad to see the amount of support I got. You know, the tweet absolutely got so many likes and so many responses, private DMs of just nice things, and it really hit me, man. It hit home that I've helped a lot of people, not changed people's lives, I was about to say, but people were saying that, some of the messages, and it really, made me emotional. So going fast forwarding from there, I had 3 months off, I think it was, and I was sitting there every day thinking, like, this is not me. I found a new job, and I was like, I've got to work to pay the bills and whatever. And in the end, I just sat there and I said, this isn't me. Esports is my life, man. And I know sometimes you have to drop it when it's just not there, which I did. But I was thinking every day, what idea can I get into next? What was the next thing I could do? I came to the conclusion of, I am going to start my own academy. And it essentially is going to be my own team. And I was going to start my own academy. I was going to pick 5 players that I was going to coach that haven't had an opportunity before, haven't been a UK player that's been recycled, because that tends to happen so many times in teams. And all these players that are trying haven't been given a chance because the recycled players and and because no one's interested in trying or teaching a young player to become the next level. And I think that's why the scene has lacked for so long. So I came to the conclusion of, I'm going to start my own academy.
Hey, I'm Ollie, been managing esports teams for about 5 years now, taking teams to lands, dozens of lands all around Europe. I spent most of my time as the manager of CX Esports. It's a side project recently as well, been setting up a UK-based bootcamp, which once we're able to open up to the public, I'll be managing. So yeah, really looking forward to being on board with Endpoint Academy. I'll be helping out managing the team. So all the stuff like hotels, travel, and league fees, and all the food, and dealing with organisers, and all that kind of stuff, all the admin in the background. I've also got a background in IT myself, so I can be pretty helpful with sorting out issues with PCs and monitors and all that kind of stuff at LANs and tournaments. Yeah, I just do everything that the team doesn't need to worry about. They just focus on what they've got to do. Yeah, this is a great project to be involved with. The Endpoint staff, there's so much support from them, and I'm sure we're going to see some great results.
Hiya, I'm Ree. I'm Endpoint's social media manager. I have a range of jobs within the company. To sum up briefly, I keep everyone updated as to what's going on with Endpoint, such as upcoming games and announcements. I report on matches, I speak to the community across several platforms, and I create and post content across our socials. I'm going to be following our candidates' journeys through the academy and documenting their experiences on our socials, which will include games and content focused on the players themselves. Whilst talent and skill are of course a player's main attributes, they need to have a social presence, which is especially important as we're also focused on our online personas these days. If you are personable, it will help you to be noticed by teams, organisations and sponsors. You are your own brand, and I will be there to help you find your own social story. Oh, I'm prepared to be memed. Thomas knows what's up.
Hi guys, I'm Sammy. I'm the graphic designer for Endpoint and also for the Endpoint.ROG Academy team. So for the content series we're creating with the Academy, we wanted to show full transparency of all the behind the scenes processes involved in running an esports org and also an Academy team. And part of this is the graphics, which is my department. So beside me is the logo and the visual identity that I created for the Academy team. and also a little speed art of me creating the motion graphics that we use for this video series. The logo itself is pretty simple, but I'll just break down some of the decisions we made along the way, and also what some of the different parts of the logo represent. So first, the colour scheme. Because we're working with Asus Republic of Gamers, I just referenced the red hue that they use from their colour scheme and then complement that with the black and white. So for the logo itself, it's quite simple. It's just a word mark going through a hexagon, but the hexagon obviously makes reference to the Endpoint logo, and the Academy text going through that is sort of to represent like the Academy team moving through the Endpoint infrastructure and Endpoint Academy system that we're creating here. And then besides this hexagon, there's a small like chevron shape, a forwards arrow. And number one, this creates depth to make it look like the text is actually going through the hexagon. But number two, the motif of the chevron is something that I'm going to use elsewhere in the visual identity, which relates to how we're going to push the team and push the players forward with this academy system. And for the sake of transparency, because that's what we're trying to push with this content series, I'm going to show you some of the unused variants and unused logo ideas that we didn't end up landing on. So we have a sketched version, which I used charcoal for and scanned it in. And we also have this rounded kind of badge style version, but for both of these there's a bit too much going on and it didn't quite work having the Endpoint and the ROG logos in there too. And yeah, even though it's quite simple, quite a lot of thought and decision making goes behind the visuals for something like this. So we had quite a surprisingly lengthy discussion about whether the Academy text should go above or below the logos, what colours it should be, things like that. So hopefully you guys like the style. Like I said before, it's quite simple, but I think it works quite well. And I'm just looking forward to making more visuals for the Endpoint ROG Academy team.
We've wanted to do an Endpoint Academy for a long time. It's been something which we've really wanted to do for the last few years, but there's always been reasons not to do it. There's still some concerns, of course, and that's been completely open. But we think that we've got a really good structure of how we can, A, help the scene, but B, help some young up-and-coming players that really want to progress their careers. They want that pro experience, and they're not going to get it anywhere else but Endpoint, I feel.
I'm literally going to build an academy and build a path to pro format where I can teach these players and we can start from being no one and to being someone in the UK, and you know, from there it can go on and it can go on. You know, it's a path to pro model, and I got the idea from being a coach and love watching football and stuff like that. I got the idea from a lot of football academies on YouTube they'll make a storyline and they will release content every day, and they will show these individual players, you know, 15, 16-year-olds, even younger, building their way up to getting a chance into the first team or going on to signing from a scholar to a pro contract. And I thought, why not mould that model and build it to esports? Now, it probably has been done with some of the orgs before, top orgs, but it's not really been done in the UK yet. So I came to the conclusion that I wanted to really, really push this like football academy like project into an esports project.
So what we're going to do with the academy, we're not going to pick up the second best team in the UK. Straight up, we could do, but we're not going to. We think that, again, it needs to be further enough away from where the main team is, and we need to also bear in mind that our team are still going to be playing ESL Premiership and the likes. But we have a cool thing in mind for that with the ESL Premiership, and I'll explain that in a bit. So we are going to pick up young, talented players that want to improve. We're not wanting the same old cycled people in the scene that we don't think well, yes, they have a shot of getting to the top, but realistically we need fresh blood to push forward the UK scene. And we're not only doing this for the academy. So yes, academy, you say, are you helping the scene grow more? You're picking up 5 players. That's not really the scene, is it? So we want to have a structure in place where we have a path to pro model realistically in the UK. We're going to build an endpoint hub where players can play for fun, all the way from level 1 up to level 10, and then that hub, you know, it feeds into the academy. We will scout players from there when the slots become available, and academy feeds into the main team. And you think, how the hell does the academy feed into the main team? And that's a good point. I mean, there's not going to be slots available on a regular basis at all, and it may be a case of the academy has to feed into the pro scene outside of Endpoint, and we have no issue with that at the same time. We want to help build UK players to getting onto a pro scene. If that feeds into our main team, potentially in the future, you never know. But if it feeds into other pro teams, that's fine as well. But the experience you will gain from this We are, for example, in ESL Premiership right now, we have 2 UK players. You need 3, straight up. So our plan is to, each week in the ESL Premiership, the players that we think are really showing promise, are really putting the effort in, they're going to feed into the main team. So you'll see each week we'll announce a new roster. We'll have, you know, let's say we have Robin, Max, Surreal, Crucial, and then you might find that Academy player 1 is playing with the pro player, getting that experience of playing under the best IGL in the UK, the experience of playing with some of the best minds in the UK, and obviously Europe as well. You've got Crucial, unbelievable AWPer. You have Robin, who's been a veteran of the game and unbelievably knowledgeable of the game. So you get to play with these players, which is unbelievable for you, obviously. And you get that experience of it. You get to play under the coach of Ross in that Premiership matches. And then obviously for the whole academy, you get to play under Whitey, who has a bunch of experience himself, being in X-Fierce. He's been a coach for Endpoint in the past. And he's very knowledgeable within the scene, which is and the game, which is awesome.
And now I knew that Adam and Pete have always had this idea about an academy in their head. They've always wanted to push through grassroots esports, and that's what they're doing with their main team right now. But they've reached to a level that's crazy. Their growth has been amazing the past few months, or this year, shall I say. And I approached them with the idea, and they've really, really liked it. And we started talking about what we could do, how we could approach it. And the ideas we got from it were really, really promising and really positive. And I really liked that their ideas matched mine. Now, I wouldn't have just joined an organisation if they really didn't match what I want for the academy. And Pete and Ads literally matched everything I wanted to do and were behind me 100% in how I want to really push these players and how I want to build their personal brands and build the team itself and have a community with it. You know, it worked perfectly. So yeah, fast forward from there, Pete and Ads are fully behind it, and I'm happy to be working with them because I know that they can help me every step of the way. Their org's grown so much since I was last in it, and it's been the best org that I've been in. They've got the staff now to cater for what the academy wants, and overall I'm just super happy to be working with them because I know that they can push the academy steps further than I could have in a short amount of time. We're
going to take some young up and coming players who want to create content, and content is extremely important to us for a few reasons. For the academy to work for us, content is a key part of it, and B, we want that to give that pro experience. And if you want to become a pro in esports or Counter-Strike, content is a big part of that. So making sure that we have people on board that want to do content and are willing to do content is very important to us. But we will offer that experience of, you know, how the pro teams do it and how the pro teams create content, and we will start building your brand. Your brand could be nothing to start with. That doesn't matter to us. As long as you've got the right attitude to grow your brand.
Now, I put the tweet out and the response was crazy. I had 230 likes or something like 220 likes, 7.5k views on the video, so many applications. I think I had 160, 70 applications. And in my tweet longer, I said that if an org does want to get on board, I'm happy to do it with an org because I want to build with an org with the content that we push out with the academy. So it's basically me building a team with a twist. Pushing out content, letting people see behind the scenes of how an esports team works, the mentality of it, the ups and downs, everything, because that's what football academies push out, and I feel like there's a big opening for it and people want to see it. I was going to do a stream when I first announced it, but obviously it delayed because I got corona and my family got corona and life was going really bad. But I see this as my last dying chance in esports, and I want to make it work. And I've always wanted to push and help UK players. I've always wanted to give players a chance, any level, whoever you are, you know, whatever your past is. I've always wanted to help you and help you change as a person and as a player. So this is the whole point of the project. I really want it to help the UK scene, and that is my goal. You know, I said that in my tweet longer, that I see a success of if a player, you know, changes as a person or goes on to another team or the team wins an event. I see it as a success. I want the UK to grow. So the ins and outs of the project and how it's going to work is basically I am going to start with applications with players, and there's going to be a player selection process. Now these players are going to send applications into me how we want them, and I'm going to look through them, and it's going to be recorded, and you know, we're going to use that footage to look through these players, sort of like an X Factor boot camp. And I want to have a player selection of going through all of these applications one by one, and simmering it down to the amount that suits the needs of the project. Now, the needs of the project is, I really want players that are willing to get involved in content, grow as a person, grow as a player, listen to criticism. I want a player to be able to get involved and grow their brand and grow as a player. That's one big key thing for this academy. And from there going on, after the player selection, I'm going to be selecting down to 5 players. Now, these 5 players are obviously going to be in the academy, coached by me. They're going to be under the Endpoint brand and, supported by the Endpoint brand, and given the opportunity of what it might, or what it may, or what it's like to be a pro player.
A lot of the Counter-Strike events have a rule that you can't play them if your team is playing, if you have another team playing in it. So we had the issue of, right, should we pick up an academy team before? And we've always run into the problem that, well, our main team's going to be playing in the same event, or this main team is going to be too close to the academy team, and it would restrict the academy team too much with what they can do. And it didn't seem fair to pick up an academy team but say you can't do this, and this, because our main team is going to be playing in it. So now that we've qualified for ESL Pro League, we've been near in or around the top 30 for a long time now. We feel that we're further enough away from an academy team that we'd pick up in skill level to justify it, and we feel that it's great. So we start talking to YT. It's perfect timing. But it's not just perfect timing like that. We have to be able to fund the team, and that's where the tricky part comes in, I guess. So we go, right, YT, we're interested now. How do we execute this? We need someone who's full time. We need someone like YT's gonna be full time at Endpoint, and we need to be able to create the extra content on the side, which is added revenue, added expense in terms of video editors, and then we're not just gonna create a 5-man team where they're just a name for us. We want to actually be able to support them, so they're gonna get full LAN support, Epic LAN and iSeries events throughout the year. They're going to get boot camp support where they can go and boot camp, media days within those boot camps. All these costs add up, and it's an experience which we feel is going to be far superior to the type of player we're going to pick up. That support is not available right now, and it's almost as good a support I feel as the teams that are just below us in the UK. So I think it's a great opportunity for players in the academy to progress. Other aspects of what we can do, in terms of this is just all the stuff that goes around our head and what we're planning at the moment. Maybe some of this stuff won't happen, but the video will be out there anyway. We hope that the players can go onto the server with our pro team. I don't want it to be a case of the guys going in there and disrupting our main team's practice. That's the last thing we want, realistically. But why can't they sit on the server, sit on the TeamSpeak, listen in on how our main team does practice and gain some tips from that, and then take it to their own practice outside of that.
And I want them to literally work with me every step of the way to grow in the team and grow as a person. Now, these 5 players, we're not going to be playing a heavy schedule, because there's people who've got lives and stuff like that. We're going to work in a very professional schedule, and we're just going to work every day on building as a team and on the outside doing content. And the whole path to pro model is, I want them to showcase themselves within the content and how good they are as a player and how willing they are to learn, and hopefully that pushes them on to finding something new. Maybe that pushes them on to eventually play within the first team of Endpoint in however long. Now, from there, our aim is to get involved with the UK events this coming up in 2021. Obviously, I know it's going to be tough right now because COVID restrictions. I'm not sure how that's going to change in the new year, but our goal is to work within these UK events and see how well we can do, and obviously showcase that all to the community. Now, I want them to see what it's like in after the games. Everyone watches a team play on the server and the game's over. That's it. You don't see nothing. Some teams obviously do content, but I want them to feature everything from the get-go of the game. Before the game, how we prep, after the game, how we feel, the talks we have. I want everyone to get an insight of what it's like to be a part of an esports team whether it's the academy or not, to see what it's like every step of the way and what goes on. And I feel like that's a big key thing for what people want to see within the scene, and even outside of the scene. You know, European aspiring players as well, they get to see what it's like to be in a UK team and stuff like that. And from there, it creates a Mighty Duck storyline. And this is one word I've always said, a Mighty Duck storyline, where we have started from players that are not really known and really haven't showcased themselves, never played under that sort of level. They've gone from being this person who nobody knows about to someone that people really aspire to be, or want to be, or like their personality, you know. And that is one thing I'm striving to do with this team and these players.
So going back to the topic of how do we fund it, and it's always a difficult one. It's easier said than done. It's a bit of a chicken and an egg. You know, it's not a cheap expense. I'm sure if some of you can do the maths in your head of how much it's going to cost to have someone full time, have someone pay a video editor, have pay for all the LAN events and boot camps and media outlets on top of that. It's not cheap. But how do we do that? So initial thoughts was we've had a long-standing relationship with Aces ROG. They love the whole community aspect of things. They like helping grassroots esports. That's why we signed with them 3 years ago, for example. They helped us as a grassroots esport, where Endpoint was back then. We were grassroots. We still are to an extent, I think, but we're more going on the global stage right now. So this prospect instantly in my head triggered that they would be the perfect partner for this. And we got chatting to Aces ROG, and they're interested instantly. It was the easiest conversation of my life almost. We pitched to them the whole idea of the academy. And they're very interested, and they're coming on board, which is amazing. So we have the support of ROG. It's going to be the Endpoint.ROG Academy, as you've probably already seen at this stage, and they're going to help us support the players with, you know, peripherals as well, and general content creation. You know, exposure. You've got a massive brand there to help you with exposure of the academy team, let alone the help that we can give as Endpoint. And it's a really good partnership to have, let alone the fact we've obviously got the Sex as a sponsor, who are there for the main team, of course, and the main teams, but the help they can offer as well is goes without saying. You know, we have an Endpoint Sex boot camp in London. That's where they'll be going to on occasions throughout the year, before key events, or obviously this is all COVID permitting in some ways, and I hope that events come back sooner rather than later. But we feel like this process of finding the team is going to take us 2 to 3 months anyway. You know, in the application you've probably seen, it was like, how do we make this application? We want it to be a barrier to entry. You know, we don't want it to be that anyone can just apply with a click of a button. You need to be able to put effort into this application. So we're going to make it so you have to put a video application of yourself, why you want to join this academy, why it's right for you. And the reason behind that is because you have to be willing to do content. It comes down to that. Yes, we want the most up-and-coming skilled players, but that's not important to us unless you can do the content at the same time. And that's just being completely honest about it. You know, if we've also got partners on board like ROG, they want to see some content as well, and you know, it's a mixture of both. Yeah, so we have that video input. You put your details about yourself, your face at your ESEA, you know, maybe what events you've played at, what experience you have in general, and your aspirations. It's really important to us, all this stuff. So we're going to whittle down all those applications all the way down to the final 5. You know, there's going to be a process in that which we'll explain more later. Maybe some show matches, maybe some fun stuff, and generally make a good make a good piece of content and story about it, and then you have that storyline of when you get that 5, and the progress they then make throughout the year. That's the story we want to tell, and where those players go from it. Yep. So we're hoping to do you know, weekly vlogs. We'll get once we have our team, you know, we'll get players involved, but we want to show the whole process behind this. This is just the planning stage we're in at the moment. This is the ideas we've got flowing around our head, and hopefully that gives you an idea of where we're at.
I'm just happy to be back. Finally, Endpoint giving me the chance, and really being behind this project, and really wanting to push through grassroots esports. I know it sounds silly saying grassroots esports because it's normally a football term, but I'm just happy to really be like supported in a project that really needs to happen. UK players really need this backing. They need the support, and I feel like even with 5 players only being selected in the academy. I feel like this is going to help a lot of players outside the academy, people that follow the journey, and people that aspire to be or want to be in the academy will mold themselves to be like maybe the players in the academy, or the advice that I'm giving through the content. And I really think this is going to help a lot of people, and I'm happy to be doing it in 2021, and I hope that you guys are going to be behind it, and I'm just happy to be back. So thank you, Endpoint.